My name is Klaus. I'm working in the international harness racing business as an advisor, mostly logistics in connection to main and big races all over the world. I've been working in Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe, and of course in the United States. Since 2 years back, 2015, I'm involved with the Yonkers International as the representative of Yonkers Raceway in Europe in order to provide horses from Europe to come and race in the international. I was a race secretary in Copenhagen, my native city, when I was younger, and started working with some smaller international races, built up my reputation, and was actually headhunted for Solvala and the Elite Lob, which I worked with for totally 24 years, about 15 years as the main responsible of the race. The Elite Lob is a fantastic race. It's a race where basically all good horses wants to race at least once in a lifetime. But the Elite Lob has the advantage that it's raced in a time of year with no competition from other races. It's protected internationally, which makes the work with inviting horses and retrieving horses much easier. I have been working with the United States on earlier basis. I have provided a lot of horses, let's say 10, 15 horses for Hambletonian, for main races in the United States. Also Maple Leaf in Toronto I've been working with. And at one point we had a horse, Adrian Chip, racing in the Yonkers Trot, finishing third. He in that connection I got into closer contact with Yonkers, and I guess that they thought of me as a possible representative in Europe as the international was revived. It's not an easy task, I have to admit that. The Yonkers International is a little bit in competition, not only a little bit, but to some extent, with the French winter meeting. This sounds a little bit ridiculous, but while the French winter meeting is actually in January and February mainly, but the preparation for that meeting is very important for the main French horses. The Frenchmen are very traditional. They have their own schemes for how they prepare their horses. The big ones, the big names are, the stallions at least, are at start already in their 4-year-old season, which means that they are quite locked up until July. Then they mainly rest for a while and started build up for the winter meeting, and most of them start racing about the 20th of November, and that means that they are not fit for racing in the United States with all quarantine and logistic problems at that point. The exceptions are the geldings, which are not allowed to race the big races in France during the winter time, and those should be at least the easiest one to convinced to go to Yonkers. Trymoco is a son of Trymoco. He's only 4 years old, and he'll probably be the youngest horse in this year's international. He doesn't win a lot of races, but he is always amongst the first ones. And as a 3-year-old, he won a couple of big races in France, and recently he has been racing very good. He was exceptionally good at Solvala in the 4-year-old top class, and after that he raced in Finland against the older horses and went on an exceptional race on the outside. And after that he raced at least 2 times in France, beaten every time, but in a very good manner. And I think he could be he could be the winner of the international, no problem. Twista B is an Italian horse who is born in the probably best Italian generation ever, the so-called T crop. They are this year they are 5 years old, and he is the best. He is performing tremendously, and he has won 3 Group 1 races this spring and summer. In his most recent performance, he was parked outside the whole trip when a horse called Reed Express set the world record over 1.25 mile. Also, he is racing in Paris, and it's interesting to see how he does, but he has already committed. He's trained by Jerry Rienan, an American who has been in Italy for many years, but the last 4 or 5 years he's been training in Sweden. The horse is still owned in Italy, and he came to Jerry for a couple of years ago. As I said, he's a fantastic horse, actually. So far, we actually haven't invited a Swedish horse, and that's due to the fact that they are very equal. So we need to get those horses or that horse who has the best form at the time. 10 top Swedish horses are racing on the Saturday, the 8th of September in Paris, against the Bold Eagle and 3 other France horses in order to find the European master. And under these horses, I will try to invite the best one for Yonkers. Many of those horses, or the owners of many of those horses who are competing on Saturday, are interested in going. A couple of them have been there before. On Track Piraten, Oasis B, for instance, and they are eager to go back. We have a couple of very good Italian horses. One of them, Twista B, has already been invited. And we have a Finnish horse there who shocked the whole Swedish elite by winning the OB Grand Prix. So we have enough horses to attend to. There are some other horses which are not racing on Saturday which have shown interest. But I prefer to watch that race, to keep it cooking, so to say, in order to find the best horses for you. Well, a very interesting horse is, of course, Nonjew, which you all might know. Finished second in his Hamiltonian 3 years ago. He has been racing tremendously in Sweden. He won the Elite Lob last year, and he's been winning a lot of races in impressive manners. His options now are either to go to the French winter meeting and to take on Bold Eagle in January in the big races there, or to go to the United States, race the Yonkers International, and then remain in America and go to start at Hanover Farms. So that's 2 very different options, and of course the trainer Stefan Melander is counting on his fingers which option to choose, and I can promise you I will do my best in order to have him choosing the Yonkers possibility. It's very exciting to work with the Yonkers International, and I hope to see you all at Yonkers on October 14th.